let's get right into it and start talking about some of the top spring training storylines that we've seen so far. Because there's already been a good bit of these. There's already been a good bit of storylines. First and foremost, yesterday it came out, Jacob deGrom has said that he's going to be opting out after this year. Jacob deGrom, I think consensus, hands down, the best pitcher on planet Earth right now, has said, yeah, after this year, I'm going to be opting out, and I don't want to make this a big deal. I'm excited to pitch this year. I think our team is great, but it's just kind of the nature of the beast. It's the business aspect of it. And it really got me to thinking. Let's take a step back here and look at what's happened. Jacob deGrom, who I think we can all agree is the best pitcher on the planet right now, sees a new teammate come in, Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer is making a good bit more money than him, which, look, you had to do what you had to do. Uncle Steve comes in town, Steve Cohen comes in and just starts paying everybody all this money. And Jacob deGrom says, hold up, I love it here, but I deserve my money. I deserve to get paid. I deserve that. deGrom reiterated that he'd love to spend his whole career with the Mets, and he said he'd be in constant contact with them throughout the upcoming offseason. But he doesn't want extension negotiations to be an in-season distraction. The same tack he took in 2019. So this is interesting. He's going to opt out, and man, are you going to have to pay the man. But he's made it clear he wants to be a Met. He said he loves it. He thinks it'd be cool. His quote, I think it'd be cool to be a Met my entire career. But he is going to opt out, and that's going to be interesting to see what the Mets do and how much they pay him, because it's going to have to be a lot. Another storyline. Let's shift leagues. Let's shift coasts. Let's go out to the West Coast, talk about the Angels and Mike Trout. Mike Trout, speaking of who is the best pitcher on the planet, Mike Trout is the best baseball player on the planet. And it came out on Twitter the other day, before camp even started, that Joe Maddon and the Angels were thinking about moving Mike Trout to left field. And then Mike Trout gets to camp, and they start asking him, and he says, yeah, I'm going to have a talk with Joe Maddon about that. So this tweet came from Jeff Fletcher. Mike Trout said he and Joe Maddon had a talk today about whether he should play center field. He said they're on the same page, but added he prefers to play center field. He also added that he found out about this on Twitter. Mike Trout, the greatest baseball player in the league and top 5 baseball player of all time, found out that the team wants to change his position on Twitter. A little while later, after Mike Trout and Joe Maddon had a conversation, Joe Maddon spoke to the media and said, Mike Trout is playing center field. And that's that. How great is that? One, I do have a couple of thoughts here. You have the best player in the planet. He's in his prime. He's 30. He's got 9 more years left on his contract. Why are you moving him? And why would you just come out and say to social media, to the media, that you're going to move him without telling him first? It just doesn't make sense. And then there's a lot of talks about, like, it's less wear and tear on your body at the corner outfield. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all. Mike Trout is a center fielder. And when Mike Trout decides that he doesn't want to play center anymore and that he thinks he should move, then he will do it. But if Mike Trout came to the Angels tomorrow and said, hey, I want to try to start this year at shortstop, you know what they'd probably do? They'd do it because they need him in the lineup. Mike Trout should be the one to decide if he wants to make a career-changing move like that. Bob Nightingale, who's been on this show a couple times in the past couple of weeks, with this tweet of Mike Trout at the press conference saying, Mike Trout says he's interested down the road in moving from center field to a corner spot, but not quite ready to make it a full-time move. I agree, and this is certainly something that should have been talked about to him specifically. But a storyline nonetheless that needed to be touched on. But we're going to stay with the Angels here and talk about who else? Shohei Ohtani. Here's my tweet from this. He's back. The reigning unanimous AL MVP, Shohei Ohtani, has officially arrived at spring training. Man, this is cool. And you can see how important he is to the game of baseball. Everybody was waiting for his arrival. Then the first day of spring training, yesterday. He's out there taking BP, and you have fans everywhere. You have hundreds of fans out there cheering for him and chanting for him. How cool is that? I mean, this was awesome. His translator Ippei right there, getting him on video, watching him. AL MVP Shohei Ohtani battering some baseballs in the Angels' first full workout of spring. He's back. And speaking of Ippei, his translator, another cool story from this. He's an employee of the Angels, okay? He is Shohei's translator, but he is employed by the Angels. So during the lockout, he wasn't able to talk to Shohei. He wasn't going to be able to. So he resigned. He resigned from the Angels and was able to communicate with Shohei and be with him in Japan and go about business as usual. But now he's back, and the lockout ended, and one of the first things that the Angels did was rehire Ippei, his translator. And I just think I think it's a cool story. Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.